So could you help us understand why the history matters? Why should we care about what happened in the 18th century when we have issues today that, that threaten our safety and our peace of mind?
Sure. I think the American constitutional tradition is somewhat unique in the world in that even if you're not a strong originalist, not one of these people who believe that the Constitution's meaning is frozen in time, I think that in the American constitutional tradition, everyone, even people on the left of the spectrum, recognize you start with the text and you start with what the text meant at the time. Now, some people think that that's not where you end, and that's where there are disagreements. But nobody says, forget about the text of the Constitution, forget about what the founders said. Everyone recognizes that, if nothing else, there's tremendous wisdom there. And then, of course, there are different arguments about how much binding authority rests with those original ideas. You know, even if you're a big believer that the founders somehow bound us, there, of course, are all kinds of other ways in which the law changes. You have amendments, you have precedents, you have sometimes, without even realizing it, we imbue words and concepts with new meanings, and we think we're doing what the founders did, but we've suddenly imbued a concept with an entirely new notion. I mean, for instance, you take a recent case like Lawrence v. Texas, which is a case that establishes rights for consenting adults to engage in, you know, homosexual conduct. Anthony Kennedy, who writes that opinion, argues that's embedded in the concept of liberty. So the question is, you know, is Anthony Kennedy's concept of liberty the same as George Washington's? I would have to say probably not. But if you're a conservative like Anthony Kennedy, I mean, he's a conservative member of the court, he still has an idea that certain concepts are not frozen in time, and liberty is one of them. Mm-hmm. So even along the left-right spectrum, there are different degrees about how... Kennedy wouldn't say we disregard what the founders said, we disregard the text of the Constitution, but he has a notion that certain of the words that they chose words with a very high level of generality. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, I think it's very clear when they said 2 senators for every state, you'd have to be I don't think I can even find a serious constitutional scholar or judge who would say, no, we can interpret that to be 3. I mean, there's just no way you can do that. Liberty, on the other hand, which comes to us, at least in modern law, mostly through the 14th Amendment, that's a pretty capacious word, and promote the general welfare in the preamble. You know, does the preamble actually provide any guidance, or is it just fluff? I mean, you could argue about that, and gives you very different visions of what the Constitution's scope is supposed to be.